everybody, in today's video we're going to be unboxing and setting up our Bachmann HO scale turntable. So we bought this turntable to go with our Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends Universe HO scale Tidmouth sheds that we unboxed and assembled in a previous video. So we think this will be a nice addition. So why don't we go ahead and just get right into the unboxing. There's a good look at the front of the box. And there's the back of the box. So yeah, it's well packaged. We bought this turntable from trains.com, T-R-A-I-N-Z, for $188.50. It was actually pretty comparably priced to places like Amazon and so forth. But yeah, it came in good shape, well packaged. Or well, in the shipping box it was well packaged. I'm assuming that everything inside the box here is well packaged as well. The Bachmann stuff usually is pretty good. It's got those little folding tabs to keep everything shut. Kind of looks like the Millennium Falcon from this angle here. But yeah, it's all wrapped in plastic, all the parts, and they all have their own little spot in the styrofoam there. And then I don't know if you saw it flash, but there's some instructions there too that came with it, of course. And there it is, the turntable. Turntable itself. And then the little accessories that come with it. That's the shed, I think, that's going to store the electronics, I think. We'll figure that out when we get to it. Here we got some delicate pieces there. They look like they might be railings of some sort, but we'll figure that out when we read the instructions and take a deeper dive here. All right, and that is the, that looks like that might be the turntable motor. But again, we'll unpackage everything, read the instructions, and figure it all out. And then, oh yeah, there's a couple more pieces there. What do we got there? That looks like a little chip there. This is DCC ready. We're gonna be using it for DC, but there's a little chip there. We'll have to figure out what that's for. Like I said, we don't do DCC. Not yet. We might try it at some point in the future, but right now we're just kind of simple here by using DC. A little last piece there is going to be a little bit difficult to get out. Yeah, there it is. Just another part of the building, I think. But again, we'll sort everything out. All right, so there's all the parts that came out of the box. We got the turntable. We got a couple of buildings there, which I think are going to hide the switch. We got power cables. We got some railings there, I believe, and some instructions. Did I say the turntable itself? Of course, the turntable itself. So why don't we take everything out of the plastic, and then we'll take a look at that. All right, so there's all the parts out of the plastic. See if we can't get a nice close look at that. There's the rails we'll have to install. And then the power cords, the switch itself, and the buildings. So there's not too many parts to this, but we do have to convert this from DCC to DC, and there's some instructions there on how to do that. And then these are just the general instructions on how to put it together. Oh, we can probably fit that in the same frame. So we are going to wire this up for DC, or convert it to DC, and assemble it, and then we'll get back to you. All right, guys, so on the instructions, we had to convert this from DCC to DC. And so there's a couple things you have to know about this. So I just wanted to quickly put this on video. So take an appropriate size screwdriver, and on your turntable, you want to take this little cover off. So there's 4 screws to loosen. On the picture, they just had 3, but ours had 4. So, and it didn't come off until all the screws were out. So we'll just go through here. Now we've already converted this, but I just want to give you a look at the inside of this so that you can kind of see. All right, so the screws are off, and what you're going to see is all the gears and all that in here. So this is the chip that, I'm just going to pull this out. This is the little chip that came with the turntable that was in the little bag. I'll put it there so he can show you that. Okay, and what we had to do was we had to pull out the DCC chip. So this was plugged in here, and it was kind of like curled around. It was like lying like that, but it was plugged in. And so we pulled this off. It just pulls right out. There's nothing, no trick to it or whatever. But the thing we wanted to show you is that there's a little white button here. And at first, and then if you look at this chip, you'll see that there's pins, and then there's like this overlap here, like the pins aren't centered in the chip. There's a whole side that has no pins. So when we first put this on, we put it on that way because we thought, oh, it'll be in the way of that if we do. So we put it on like this with the extra flat side facing away from that white button, and we couldn't get it to work. And then finally it dawned on me, oh, there's a button here, this little white button. So it made sense that the flap, when plugged in, actually holds the button down. And I think that's part of what takes it out of DCC mode. So we're going to go ahead and plug this back in. And it seats nice and firmly, and all it does is push in, and you'll see that this little extra piece here, it's not extra, it's got a purpose, holds that button down. Okay, so that's the trick. So you pull off the DCC chip here, and then put on the chip that came in a bag in the box. So you actually have to convert it to DC, not convert it to DCC, if that makes sense. Like, it seems to me like a lot of stuff has to be converted to DCC. This is the opposite. So at any rate, I just wanted to show you the inside of that and how that works. You might as well take a look at the inside too. There's a lot of gears and things like that. So that's the setup. Now the other thing we did was we tried to test it. We ran it with the cover off, and this little gear here kept popping out, and I'm thinking to myself, boy, I hope we didn't get a defective thing. And then Evan said, well, put the cover back on, and that probably holds the gear down. I think that's it right there. And then what I do is, anything like this, I just put one screw on one side and another screw on the other side just to hold it all down, and then I'll put the rest of the screws in. Now they kind of seat in there. They drop into a hole, so that's a little tricky, a little finicky is. There we go. You'll feel it drop in. And I hate small screws like this because they seem to strip really easy. So I never over tighten these. Once it seats down there, that's all I turn. So again, a little finicky, but you'll kind of feel it drop into place. And then there we go. I think the trick with these little screws is really you need the right size screwdriver. They're so easy to strip. I don't know how many of these screws I've stripped, like on Christmas ornaments that have the battery, that have the little battery compartments. Just feel a little bit of resistance, and then I know it's tight enough. And 4 screws, plenty to hold this down. There you go. Again, you can kind of feel it go down. okay? So that's how you do that. And again, normally we would just show you it assembled and, you know, giving it a test run, but I couldn't find anywhere, I couldn't find another YouTube video that explained how to do this. So hopefully this will be helpful. Pull the DCC chip out, put the DC chip in there with the piece of plastic overlap, pressing down on that white button, and you're good to go. So with that explanation out of the way, let's go hook this thing up and give it a test run. All right, as far as the setup goes, the wiring goes, one thing that you're not going to find out until you look at the instructions, I don't think it was on the box anywhere, is that if you're not in DCC mode, I think you're not in DCC mode, you have to have one of these speed controllers in order to run the turntable. So this is just, they mentioned a specific model. It was speed controller for turntable, sold separately, and the part number is 44211. And when we looked at that, we're like, oh no, we don't have this particular thing. And then I thought, you know, this is probably just, you know, we can probably use one of these other Bachmann power supplies that we use, you know, to run the train. So I looked up a couple things online prior to this, and I didn't see a big difference between a regular power supply for the Bachmann trains that typically come with their sets and this speed controller that they mentioned specifically here. So we just used an old one that we had lying around. We probably have like, you know, 3 or 4 of these lying around. So we went ahead and hooked it up and hoped for the best. So let's give it a shot and see what happens. So as far as the setup goes, you know, you had a bunch of cables that came with this. There were 2 cables, or there was one cable that had 2 flat ends, a flat end like this. Okay, but one at each end. This one here that came with it has the forks on each end, but this cable here has the flat end here, and then the other flat end plugs into the bottom there, okay? This one, it's a little tight. It felt a little loose to me, like it wasn't seating very well no matter how hard I pushed it in, and I don't like to force things, so I think it's good. And then you've got this turntable direction button right there. And so the other end of this goes into the right-hand side there. And then you've got a flat end here with this plug right here. And so this plugs right into the track side of your power supply. And so that's how it hooks up. So just take a quick look at that. Again, the 2 flat ends, one goes into the turntable itself and goes into the right-hand side of the turntable switch. And then the other cable or wire has a flat end also, but it has a plug to go right into this power pack that is by Bachmann that I think it's designed to be used with. Not this particular power pack, but that one we mentioned earlier. I think this cable here is just an extra cable in case you use a regular power pack that you know, has screw terminals. So I'm considering this extra for the moment. But anyway, let's turn it on and let's see if it works. All right, so we're going to go ahead and give this a test. You might have seen a quick editing break here. It's only because we switched sides, so that I'm on the side with the controllers and he's on the side I was just on with the camera. So at any rate, with everything hooked up, again, flat, the wire with the 2 flat ends here, wire with the flat end, and then the little plug here for the Bachmann power supply, we should be good to go. So we're going to go ahead and turn on our power supply. And this actually controls the speed of the turntable, which is kind of cool. So I'm just going to turn that up a bit just so we have you know, good motion here. And now we're just going to take the turntable and look at that. Now what it does is when you turn it, like here, I'm gonna put it in this direction here, and I am going to hold it. Then it moves to the next station. So it'll stop when it reaches, when the tracks align on either side of that. So it'll go, and then it'll stop. Even though you have the button down, it'll stop. But you hold the button down for a few seconds longer, and then it'll progress to the next station. So just remember that. And then if I put the turntable direction facing the other way, it'll go the other way. Now when it stops, you can let go of the button, or if you want to, you know, kind of keep changing stations like this, just lay on the button and it'll keep turning. Just like that. So yeah, so the test seems to work okay. This power pack seems to work okay, even though it's not the one they recommend in the directions. I think they're kind of all the same. You can tell the difference. This one actually has the accessory little pop-ups here, little guillotine connections. The one for the turntable does not, because hypothetically, I guess it's supposed to be used just for speed control and not for accessories. But again, we're kind of using one that we already had, and it seems to work fine. I hate to experiment on something like this with a $188 item. So we were a little hesitant, but it's like, it's got to be the same. So we just went ahead and tried it, and it seems to work fine. And again, if I turn the speed control down here, you can hear the motor is slower. So, and then just lay on it and switch positions again. That engine, the little motor there sounds like it struggles in a slower speed, so we'll probably keep it like halfway. I think that makes sense. But yeah, anyway, the turntable seems to work just fine. We're going to go ahead and finish up the assembly here. We'll put the building on. There's a little building that covers that there, and then there's a little shed that goes here, and then the little railings that go along on either side of the track. I think you've got to pull some little plugs out here in order to get the little railings on there. So, and I also think, while I'm at it, these are the railings that came with the, or the sides that came with the Tidmouth sheds from Thomas the Tank Engine that we're going to use this turntable with. And I think those holes, some of the holes might line up, so you might be able to use these on the side, or the ones that came with it, which are these guys here. These are super delicate. So I'm not sure what we'll use, but yeah, we'll play around with it. We'll get it assembled, and we'll join you in a couple minutes.
And now, on with the show.
All right, guys, so there you have it. We got the little details on there, the buildings. We actually used the sidings from the Tidmouth sheds. It's kind of the green, kind of iron sides rather than these guys right here. We kind of like that look better, so we went ahead and did that. Now, in order to put those sides on, you have to pop out these little plugs. It's a little tedious, but if you take a razor knife and kind of get under the top of it, you can just kind of pop them right out. But the little nubs on the bottom here actually line up with the holes, just like the original sides would. So both will fit. But yeah, so anyway, this is the Bachmann turntable, and it seems to work just fine. Why don't you go ahead and throw the switch a little bit here. You can see it in action. All right. So in our next video, we're going to pair up our turntable here with our Tidmouth sheds and see how that looks and see how that operates. And I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.